I was never the guy who believed in perfect love stories. But when I met Emily, something shifted. She was bold, charming, and came with a smile that lit up every room, until she twisted that same smile into something that would haunt me forever. My mom passed away 2 years before I met Emily. She was my anchor, my hero, my everything. I told Emily that early on. I even took her to visit my mom's grave. She held my hand and said she wished she'd met her. I believed her. The wedding planning was stressful, sure, but nothing prepared me for the rehearsal dinner. The night that was supposed to be full of love, toasts and memories. Instead, it was the night everything broke. It started when Emily's father clinked his glass and stood up for a fun little speech. I smiled. I thought it would be one of those warm, welcome to the family moments. But then he said, "We all know John's been raised by angels, especially now that one of them is officially gone." A few people laughed awkwardly. I froze. Emily giggled beside me. Then her mother chimed in, saying, "Well, now he'll have a real woman in his life to keep him in line." My ears buzzed. I turned to Emily, hoping, begging for her to say something, to stop it, but instead she stood up and added, "Let's just hope I don't start wearing cardigans and lecturing people about manners like dear old mommy." The entire table laughed, except me. My heart felt like it stopped. I stared at her, the woman I thought I'd spend forever with, as she laughed at the memory of the woman who gave me life. I stood up, my hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't. "You think this is funny?" Emily's smile faded. "Babe, it was just a joke." "A joke," I snapped, mocking the woman who raised me alone, who died battling cancer, who would have given her last breath to see me happy. People started whispering. A waiter paused mid-step. "I told you everything about her. I trusted you with her memory." She opened her mouth again, but I raised my hand to stop her. "Don't, you said enough." I took the ring off my finger. Yes, I wore an engagement ring too, and placed it on the table, right next to her untouched wine glass. "I won't marry someone who laughs at the dead." Gasps echoed around the room. Emily's face twisted from confusion to rage. "You're seriously doing this? Now, in front of everyone?" "Yes," I said. "Right now, and in front of everyone, because everyone here should see exactly what kind of woman you really are." And I walked out. But the story didn't end there. The next morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls, 17 voice messages, and a swarm of text messages from her parents, even some of our mutual friends, begging me to come back to talk, to explain. But I didn't need to explain anything. I was already planning my next move. Because what they didn't know was, I wasn't done yet. Not even close. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of my apartment, staring at the photo of my mom I kept on the shelf. Her eyes always had that spark. Even near the end, she used to tell me, "Don't let anyone use love to silence your dignity." I never forgot those words, and last night, I finally understood what she meant. By morning, I wasn't just angry, I was calm. The kind of calm that comes when you know you've got nothing left to lose. The wedding was supposed to take place the next day. All the decorations, all the guests. The rented venue, the band, still booked. Still expecting me to show up in a tux and pretend like I didn't just watch my future in-laws spit on my mother's memory. But I had other plans. At noon, I called the venue and introduced myself as the groom. I asked for 10 minutes at the start of the ceremony to give a special tribute. The planner said it was a sweet idea. I smiled. I dressed up like I was going to the wedding. Same suit, same shoes, but instead of a vow book, I tucked a folded letter into my jacket. By the time I arrived, guests were already seated. Soft music playing in the background. Emily was hidden away somewhere, probably checking her makeup, still expecting to walk down the aisle. I walked past stunned faces. People whispered. Some were confused. Some looked guilty. They were at the dinner too. The officiant gave me the nod. I stepped up to the microphone. "I want to thank you all for being here." I began. "I know you came for a wedding, but before anything starts, I need to speak from the heart." Emily's bridesmaids peeked from the side curtain. One gasped. I took a breath. Last night, the woman I was supposed to marry laughed at my dead mother. So did her parents. The same woman who once held my hand at my mom's grave turned that memory into a joke in front of everyone. A collective gasp moved through the crowd. Chairs creaked. Someone dropped their program. I was going to stay silent. I was going to walk away quietly and let this farce play out. But my mother raised me to speak when something is wrong, and this is wrong. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring again. I loved Emily. I believed in her. But last night, I saw who she really is. And I will not marry someone who treats love like entertainment and grief like comedy. I placed the ring on the podium. "I won't keep you all. There's no wedding here today. But there is truth, and sometimes that's more important. I walked off stage to stunned silence. Behind me, I heard the sound of heels clicking, fast. Emily burst into view, her white dress glowing like a spotlight in the chaos. "You ruined me," she screamed. I turned. "No, you did that all by yourself." Then I walked out of that venue and into the sunlight free. But trust me, that wasn't the end. Because Emily wasn't done trying to fix her image. And I wasn't done showing the world who she really was. I thought that was it. I thought walking away, publicly, clearly and with dignity, would end it. But I underestimated how much Emily cared about one thing: control. Not love, not truth, not even me. Control. By the time I got home, my phone was buzzing nonstop again. But this time, it wasn't just texts and voicemails. My social media was flooded. Comments, tags, even some of her bridesmaids posting cryptic messages like, "Some people just want attention." And imagine ruining your own wedding over a joke. Emily had started spinning the story. She told everyone I had cold feet, that I used her family's harmless humor as an excuse to escape commitment. She even posted a black and white photo of us holding hands with the caption, "Sometimes people leave, not because of you, but because they were never really there for you." And people believed her, at least until I uploaded the recording. Because what Emily didn't know was that I had recorded the rehearsal dinner. Not out of suspicion, but out of sentiment. I wanted to replay everyone's speeches later. My mom wasn't going to be there, so I wanted something to make me feel like she was. The audio was crystal clear. Her father's mocking toast, her mother's smug remarks, Emily's cardigan comment, and her giggle. Every word, every laugh, every betrayal. I posted it with a caption that said, "This is what cold feet really sounds like. I stood up for my mother, would you have?" It spread like wildfire. By midnight, her post was taken down. Her followers were turning on her. Even a few of her bridesmaids DM'd me, saying they hadn't realized how cruel it sounded until they heard it again. But Emily, she wasn't done. She showed up at my door at 2 a.m., eyes swollen, still wearing her rehearsal dinner dress. No knock, just loud bangs on the door. "John, open up, please just talk to me." I didn't. She sat outside my door for almost an hour, crying, apologizing, then blaming, then threatening. "You think this makes you a hero? You think people are going to love you for this? You made me look like a monster." I didn't respond, because by then I wasn't doing it for love or revenge. I was doing it for every person who has ever been mocked for grieving, for every person who's been told to get over it, or laughed at for still talking about someone they lost. Emily didn't just disrespect my mother. She disrespected my grief, and that's something I'll never let anyone do again. But what she did next, that nearly broke me, because the next message I received wasn't from her. It was from someone who knew my mother, someone who told me something about Emily, something I never saw coming. I didn't open the message at first. It came from a name I didn't recognize, Marissa Hale. The subject line read, "You don't know me, but I knew your mother and your fiancé." For a second, I thought it was another online stranger, someone feeding off the drama like it was a Netflix series. But something about the way she wrote my mother's name, Helen, not just your mom, my mentor, that stopped me cold. I opened the message. "John, you don't know me, but I was a nurse at St. Mary's. I worked with your mother for over 6 years. She trained me, protected me from burnout, and even brought me soup when I had the flu. I know what you're going through must be overwhelming." I didn't want to get involved until I saw Emily's name. She came to the hospital 2 years ago, pretending to be a volunteer. She said she wanted to give back to cancer patients. But after just 2 weeks, she was caught stealing morphine, small doses, quietly. The reports were covered up because her father donated money to the hospital. Your mom, she was the one who reported her. Emily never knew who filed the report. She hated your mother, John, long before she ever met you. I read it 3 times. Then again. Then I sat there in silence, feeling something colder than anger crawl up my spine. Emily didn't just mock my mother out of ignorance. She had history with her, a reason to hate her, and she hid it from me. Everything between us, the coincidental meeting, the sweet story of wanting to volunteer with cancer patients, it wasn't fate. It was planned, targeted. I texted Marissa. She replied instantly. She offered to send the hospital incident report, said she'd been sitting on it for 2 years, afraid no one would ever hold Emily accountable. And now, I couldn't stay silent anymore. I didn't just call off the wedding. I didn't just post a recording. I was about to expose everything, because this wasn't about a failed engagement anymore. This was about betrayal on a level I wasn't ready for. The woman I loved, may have only come into my life for one reason, to destroy the last memory I had of my mother. I used to think the worst kind of betrayal was a lie wrapped in love, but now I knew better. The worst betrayal is a love that was never real to begin with. I stared at the screen, rereading Marissa's message as the hospital report downloaded into my inbox. It was all there: Emily's full name, the dates, the incident log, a short volunteer term, ended abruptly after unexplained shortages of morphine. My mother's name signed neatly at the bottom of the internal complaint. My mom tried to protect her patients, and for that, Emily decided to come after her son. I remembered the first time Emily and I met, at a charity run for cancer awareness. Another coincidence, or so I thought. I'd just given a short speech in honor of my mom, and afterward, Emily came up to me with tears in her eyes, saying she'd lost an aunt to breast cancer. She asked for a picture together. She said she was moved by my heart, but now I realized she knew who I was that day. She'd recognized my name from the report. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was premeditated. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth exposed. I wanted the mask she wore to be ripped off in front of the same crowd she once smiled at so sweetly. So I made a plan. I posted a simple message online. Some people plan weddings. Others plan how to ruin your life, starting with the people you love. I have proof, and the story is coming tomorrow, 5 p.m. Tell Emily I said hi. Within 2 hours, it was shared 6,000 times. By the end of the night, I had interview offers, podcast invites, and strangers sending me their own horror stories about people like Emily, sweet on the surface, poison underneath. But none of that mattered to me. What mattered was what came next. At 5 p.m. sharp the next day, I uploaded the files. The audio from the dinner, the hospital report, the message from Marissa, the timeline, the truth. Then I posted one last thing. She said it was just a joke, but some jokes come from a place far darker than laughter. My mom didn't live to see this day, but I hope she's watching now. The world exploded. Emily deactivated every account within 24 hours. Her father, who served on the board of that same hospital, was removed from his position quietly but quickly. And Emily, she didn't show her face for weeks. But just when I thought it was over, I got a new message. This one wasn't from a stranger. It was from someone who knew both me and Emily. Someone I never expected to hear from again. It simply read, "You were never the only target. Call me, I'll explain everything." I hesitated before calling. After everything, after the betrayal, the humiliation, the truth about Emily's past, I didn't know how much more I could take. But curiosity has a way of crawling into your spine and not letting go. So I dialed the number. "John," the voice on the other end asked, low and careful. "It's Noah, Emily's ex." I hadn't heard his name in years. She told me they broke up because he was emotionally distant. Now I wasn't so sure. "I saw what you posted," he said. "I'm sorry it happened to you. It happened to me too, not the same way. But she's been doing this a long time." "What do you mean?" I asked, my chest tightening. "She targets people who have lost someone vulnerable. She loves the attention, the sympathy, but the second you need real empathy, she mocks you, twists it, uses it against you. When my brother died, she told me I was smipping like a drama queen. Then she flirted with his best friend at the funeral. I clenched my jaw. She told me you were different." Noah continued, "That you were the perfect project because you still cried over your mom." It hit me like a punch to the gut. I wasn't someone she loved. I was a story she wanted to control, a grieving man she could mold and manipulate, until I stopped fitting the roles she wrote for me. And when I didn't laugh at her joke, she tried to make me the villain in her version of the ending. But I took my story back, and that's the part she didn't plan for. It's been a year now. I never heard from Emily again. Not after the truth came out. Not after the hospital cut ties with her family. Not after the messages stopped pouring in. I still visit my mom's grave every Sunday. Sometimes I bring flowers. Sometimes I just sit and talk to her like she never left. But every time I go, I remind myself of one thing. Love is never a joke, and grief is never a game. I didn't lose anything the day I walked out of that wedding. I reclaimed everything that mattered. My voice, my peace, and the quiet, unshakable truth that I was never the one who should have been ashamed. She was, and now the whole world knows it.